reports to their embassies all around the world. A big accusation that an ambassador is involved with a drug lord. But please, dun sa public na nagbabasa nito, may link naman. It's a 55-minute speech, yung speech niya sa PMA alumni. It's at around 22 minutes, no? So from around 22 to 26. If you listen to it and watch it, makikita mo klarong-klaro yung sinasabi ng ating Pangulo. If it wasn't clear, I won't speak on it muna.
Yeah.
And defer for the President to clarify. But after watching it 4 times, it's very, very clear, no, that it's a total misrepresentation of what the President said.
Yeah, Secretary, ABS-CBN also reported.
Times kasi pagka unang lumabas isang article, di ba, really very competitive. So pag yung angulo ng isa is much stronger than the others tend to also report on that angle. Di ba? So, you know, I'm not sure if the President will comment on it. I think the presidential spokesman will, but my job is to make sure that our relations with all nations are good. And I do the same whether it's a Chinese ambassador or any other ambassador that got into this. ABS and Rapper can correct their report. Or if they want, they simply show what the President said. Kaya lang mahaba. Well, it's we're exchanging notes and ideas. What's good is we're both cautiously enthusiastic. It seems that both countries really want to explore, and if there is, and we're praying that there are large deposits of gas in the area, mapakinabangan ito ng Pilipino. That it will not be just there, especially with the high prices of oil and the cost to our economy of all the dollars by oil and gas. And especially because Malampaya supplies about 40% of the power needs of Luzon. But enthusiastic because it seems that we all agree that it will benefit our region, benefit the Philippines, benefit China. We all agree that there can be and there is a framework which will be constitutional under Philippine laws and acceptable under Chinese law. Cautious because it's a delicate matter. It will have to pass the scrutiny of both Congress and the judiciary. So we're asking ourselves the hard questions now. So if this happens, what that is this, what this. But I have the latest very rough draft with me today. Just outlining some of the basic principles. So I will be consulting a lawyer on oil and gas, and I'll be consulting, of course, the Malacanang lawyers, especially the Executive Secretary, maybe Secretary Panelo on the constitutional. So I will ask my counterpart about their side. So we're taking advantage that he will be visiting hopefully this October. Supposedly last month, pero tinamaan talaga ng pagdating ng Pagdating Hong Kong. So if we can, if it's acceptable to both sides, then even an agreement on principle between the DFA and the BOFA of China, then will be a giant step forward.
So, will you be in a position now to announce the visit of President Xi Jinping to Manila?
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I don't want to say we'll finish it in a week or 1 month or 2 months, because it's one of those things that either you get done or not. It's either absolute yes, kasi if it's a maybe, or yes but, then hindi pa rin natin malalabas. But I'm working hard and very bullish that we do it in the next few months, so that the exploration can actually start next year. Because every delay that we have every few months actually, a 3-month delay in coming with an agreement is not equivalent to a 3-month delay in exploration because there are conditions at sea that has to be taken into account. So a 3-month, for example, delay could be a 6-month or 9-month delay. No? And the president's orders to us is that in anything that we do, no corruption, benefit the people, but make sure we enjoy the fruits during my term, no? Because he wants people to enjoy.
So November basically pushed through.
So far, all the arrangements are being made for the snake.
So are you already are you already in coordination with the Filipino companies that have service contracts there?
Yes, I have no choice but to one particular one that we're looking at as a big well, sa Paquita well, and then a couple of smaller ones. So this is not a secret naman sa inyo. It's lots of business papers and international publications. No? So I had to have preliminary discussions, especially with their lawyers, because the framework also has to be acceptable to them. Because part of the framework will really be a commercial agreement between our commercial entity and China's commercial entity. Diba? Kasi the exploration naman won't be done by both governments. The framework will be done by both governments, but the actual exploration that possible development in the future is that's why I use diba, na ala or something like, or at the very least like malampaya. But as I said, that's very technical, no? When you say ala malampaya. No? The only difference would be the framework. Malampaya has a different framework, no? Because precisely that there's no dispute to talk about. No? In this case, there's a dispute, so there has to be an agreement. No? And no matter how much we say that we will win, we won, there's no dispute. Even our allies agree there is a dispute.
Sorry, can you share something that's the latest area of that in terms of numbers of division of 60 and 60-40, but you said it has to be better than Malampaya. And then, of course, sir, just to clarify, we're talking about exploration and not development.
Yes. Your second question actually answered it. So since we're talking about exploration, there's no talk yet of the division, or who gets what. In the important part in the exploration is one, it's done together. Two, that information is completely shared by both sides. Diba? So, but the 60-40 is still on the table. It's still our minimum. The Chinese are still reviewing it, but they have not closed the door on it. They said they're open to it, but it really depends on our commercial entities. Yung mga pag-usapan nila. So one of the key here, I think, will be the amount of oil and gas that is there. Alam mo naman, di ba, businessmen, if it's a smaller pie, you want more pieces. If it's a bigger pie, di ba? So what if you get a less pieces, mas malaki naman yung piece ng mas malaking pie, di ba? So the economics will kick in, depending on the result of exploration. But let me just tell you, whether you're for or against, I sincerely believe it is something great that can be done for the country. Because whatever we say, we're still an oil importing country. So if we become self-sufficient in oil and gas, and more if we become an oil exporter, it will completely change the country. Economics, our finances, our the availability of oil and gas, the cost of power, the amount of taxes that will come in. Marami sa problema sa inflation ngayon kung nagawa if running itong wells na ito ngayon. I remember when it hit $100 dollars per barrel several years ago, um, suddenly, there was a move to explore in areas that before hindi na-explore. And even if yung quality of crude oil was much less, but with that price, my impetus to drill and to get the oil, no? So now, whether ma-sustain yung $80 per barrel o bumaba pa hanggang bumalik sa 70, 60, the initial studies are very promising, at least in the Sampaguita well. Right? This is, that's a stock exchange naman. But I'm sure if we allow the joint exploration, there will be clearer and new data, given the new technology from the last study reported to the Philippine Stock Exchange.
I mean, you're one of the people in the inner circle of the president. And last night he gave an update on his and he said he's willing to step down in case things out something serious. Hopefully, because we don't want stability. I wonder if does the government have a backup plan on the worst case scenario that might happen in case it turns out to be a cancer? Or have you received inputs from our foreign partners about president's
First, I've known the president for some time. Kaibigan pa ng dad ko. I really sincerely believe he's strong as a bull. Despite being as strong as a bull, I pray for him almost every day that he be healthy. Prime Minister Mahathir is 93, so relatively he's very young at 73, and all of us here are still in our adolescence. Relatively, di ba, Mano? So, having said that, health is a serious matter, and since I've been close to the president, he has regular check-up. Hindi siya takot sa doktor o tumakbo sa doktor. But it's also not secretive. Pagka meron sakit, whether konti or serious, he will say it. So, when he said last night, kung cancer, the cancer, my interpretation of that, I don't know if I'm correct, but my interpretation is that if it's something serious, I'll tell you. And why waste time? When if you only have limited time, you do what's most important to you, diba? So it's not to cling on to power. But my interpretation is he's still as healthy as a bull. Now, as to backup plans, we have the Philippine Constitution. So despite all of these, arguments, who is more qualified, who is less qualified, etc. Sinong strong, sinong weak, sinong ganyan. We have the Philippine Constitution. And no one is saying we should violate it. The President is just giving his opinion na kung siya ang tatanungin, si XYZ ang gusto niya. And he said different people at different events, diba? It's just that there's some people na mas gusto niyong i-report kaso sa iba. Diba? But I've heard him talk about other well-known personalities in the country, male or female, na binanggit niya.
So the Constitution will prevail whatever the president.
Yes, it will. Can you ask him then if he wants a
Yeah, please. That will be very nice.
or let's give him the choice.
A Chinese and US courtship has rules encounter last September 15 years practice.
Well, this proves our point that to solve the problems in the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea, there should be, can I use a more common term, a heart-to-heart talk between regional and non-regional players and between the two superpowers. Ito yung parati sinasabi ni Presidente. The President always says, and friends to everyone. Not an enemy of Japan, I'm not an enemy of China, I'm not an enemy of Russia, we're not the enemy of US. But there are rivalries. And China has a different stand regarding the South China Sea. The US has a different stand, the Philippines has a different stand. But the dynamics of superpowers are different from the dynamic of middle powers or of countries with soft power. No? So ASEAN is trying to tackle this issue as well. But it's also complicated because 60% of ASEAN does not have claims, uh, overlapping claims. But 40%, Brunei, Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam have claims. No? So we will continue to see these irritants and to use a term na ginagamit yung parati sa Senado o sa Kongreso, bangayan. No? Mapapagpatuloy itong bangayan until the US and China sit down and then regional players, claimants and non-claimants sit down. That is precisely why we're rushing the COC.
That's your freedom of navigation pieces like this, and we support because of Philippines
Sorry.
freedom of navigation.
Yes, but the US also does not recognize that we're claiming it as our territory. It's just that they're our ally. But if they weren't our ally and they came within 12 nautical miles of our health features, we'll also tell them, you're entering Filipino territory, we have sovereignty here, and then also under us, freedom of navigation. May conflict sa claims and stand ng iba't ibang bansa. The US signed UNCLOS, but their Congress did not ratify it. No? So iba yung freedom of navigation ng iba't ibang bansa are not all the same. For example, one question I've heard again in a is freedom of navigation only for commercial. And if it includes military, how close not only nuclear weapons but very powerful conventional weapons? This matter should be clarified because we don't want any accidents. So mas concern natin is yung magkaroon ng accident between any of the great powers because any gulo, any disturbance in our region will affect us. Ngayon pa lang, ganun na yung presyo dito. Can you imagine if hindi natuloy yung summit sa North Korea or if something happens in the South China Sea? No? And things are always happening. Fishermen, for example, if not good relationship with Vietnam, they have had issues with our fishermen, we have had issues with their fishermen. The issues are ongoing. Except that we found a way bilaterally to talk with them. So hindi natin binabaliwala. No? But we're also not debating it in public because we believe that there are certain key players that have to sit down and talk and discuss para ma-solve nila yan.
Yes.
So whenever either the US or China flies bombers over the area, the other one will respond.
Mhm.
So mangyayari. So kung every time mangyari, tayo mati-distrust. So we can focus on for the country. But we'll always protect our interests.
Yeah. Secretary, what has been your instructions to our embassies abroad? Because there may be queries about the so-called Red October. How will it impact on the business climate in the Philippines as well?
Well, it's a balancing act. On one hand, there's freedom of expression. Then where do you draw the line between activists and rebels? It's the same thing that happened in Marawi, di ba? Kung hindi nangyari in Marawi, how do you draw the line between extremists and freedom fighters? From those who are just legitimately fighting for not so legitimately because they brought up arms, but meaning they don't have the ISIS ideology, But when Marawi happened, they had to separate. Mamili ka. If you're a extremist or you believe in the ISIS, you join. If not, you help the government. So when you have a controversial administration, even with 75-80% support, you'll have a coalition of oppositionists which will be varied from the very conservative, yung lang post sa Facebook or susulat lang or will tell her students mali yung ginagawa natin sa sulat, no? To the completely opposite side, who are the revolutionaries. No? Uh, so I think our ambassadors are quite aware, no? And the ambassadors here report din naman. So if EDSA 1, EDSA 2, yung hindi natuloy na EDSA 3, yung attempt to remove GMA did not happen, we can all say there's no such thing as a Red October. But we all know that the reality is that there are politicians, members of several parties, who do link up with revolutionaries or who try to entice soldiers because you need a couple of components to successfully remove an administration. You need a military component, you have a communications component, you need a business component, then you have to have mass movements component. And the left, varied din ang left. Diba? May illegal, meaning yung CPP, NPA. May legal fronts, meaning they're actually with the NPA, but they're legal fronts. And then there are the activists that completely parliamentary struggle na yan. Wala nang links dyan. Minsan napagkakamalan sila na doon. But ganoon din naman sa inyo sa media, di ba? When you're critical, napagkakamalan minsan na pinapatumba niya yung gobyerno. Di ba? But it's also hypocritical to say that if there are 1,000 million members, walang isa man lang na quietly member ng CPP because really believe in the ideology of not them siya, di ba? So that's the reality of this one.
So, si Justice Corrupted the other day said that can you just go back to the navigation, forget the navigation. Since we cannot enforce the ruling, Justice Corrupted said, we should welcome the naval powers to conduct naval exercises. He said that it's our moral obligation to support them. So, refer kasi it's in a way parang it's parang affirming daw our victory sa arbitration ruling. So what's your comment on that?
It's a thin line because when we are for freedom of navigation, we've never swayed from that. Even in the last ASEAN statement, leaders and foreign ministers, freedom of navigation, freedom of overflight, freedom to lay down underground cables, especially for the internet, etc. Lahat yan, we're for it. No? What we're saying and what the good justice siguro also understands naman is that there are exercises that further complicate the situation in the South China Sea. Wala namang problema yung freedom of navigation offset, di ba? But baliktad mo, mag-freedom of navigation ng China, then they go within 12 nautical miles of our held features that without telling us. Wouldn't we also react? Diba? So you can't solve a problem by complicating a problem. He's not wrong in saying that we should support freedom of navigation, which we do. But yung certain exercises, and we don't join them, but we're not stopping anyone from doing the freedom of navigation.
As ambassador, Chinese ambassador Zhao Shenhua reached their office to clarify what you say now is out of false news. But tumawag pa siya sa email to clarify. Wala pa. Wala pa.
Kaya yung una kong kausap, live or whether he wants to live and work here in the Philippines. What do I mean it's a choice? Kasi sa ngayon, kung apat anak mo, ano sa pamilya, lalo mahilig tayo sa extended family, na ang mga pinsan, kapatid, all of the fact that's one of our struggles ngayon, di ba, yung higher income and lower prices. No? So abroad, we have a one country, one team approach. So whether you're from the Labor Department, you're Polo, you're a trade attaché from TTI, you're a defense attaché from DND, ang pinaka-tatay o nanay o pinaka-governor or mayor doon, yung ambassador, di ba? So since may isang embassy ka doon or isang consulate, yung coordination mas maganda. So kung may OFW na hindi suneldohan, di ba, we act as one. Ang problema pag uwi mo sa Pilipinas, nagtuturuan. So pag sinabing, halimbawa, sinalubong ng OWA at PNA sa airport, tapos ay, sir, gusto kong bumalik, pero kulang ako sa training. So, pumunta ka sa TESDA, di ba? Or, sir, kailangan kong magpa-medical. O, dun ka sa DOH. O kaya, sir, 10 years na ako abroad, nakita ng konti, pero isa pa, I want to have a business. Doon ka umutang sa Land Bank or sa TTI. So, it's complicated. Diba? Even for government officials, what more for ordinary Filipino, diba? To get all of this done together. So the president wants us to institute the one country, one team approach, even here in the Philippines. So this morning, we're going to have an interdepartment, interagency meeting, the first, no? To help guide the cabinet, whether we will have a cabinet cluster on OFW or we'll have a working group under one of the clusters, precisely to focus on integration of all of these programs, to find areas where there are no programs, to find areas that there are programs for all Filipinos, but we can have a certain pathway for OFWs. A good example of that is through passports, di ba? A few months ago and a year ago, or di ba, umabot ng 3 months bago makakuha ng passport. So pag first time OFW ka, hindi ka pa express lane. But now, with the portal exclusively for the OFW, they can get their passports right away. No? So loan programs, whether Department of Agriculture, DTI, the financial institutions, meron yan. But how does an OFW or member of an OFW family access it more efficiently? So yun yung mga i-discuss namin. So feel free to call for your opening statements. Secretary Belly will be there. And then after the first meeting, we'll submit a report to the President. And if he authorizes, we'll give you also an update. No? But regardless whether it's a cabinet cluster or it's a working group, no, we want to start meeting regularly with all departments. So pag sinabi about driver's license, paano kung OFW ka kung gusto makuha? So may programa na rin ang DOTR. Pero alam ba ng DSWD, alam ba ng DOLE, alam ba ng DFA na may ganung programa, di ba? Nag-alala sa inflation ang ating mga kababayan abroad, di ba? How do they check sa kamag-anak nila dito or may access na sila to the NFA rights, etc. No? So that's what we want to create, that kind of environment where the OFW actually feels that he or she and their family are priorities. Hindi yung panay hero kayo, pero bahala na. Then just a quick point, we had a very successful participation sa UNGA. As you know, every year there are general debates and there is a general assembly sa UN. This year was particularly special because we had a high-level side event. We were one of the co-sponsors, and it was led no less by both the UN Secretary General and the um, President of the General Assembly, no? The GCM, or the Global Compact for Migration, provides a framework for international and regional cooperation to push for migrants' rights, and gives us a framework. Um, in other words, no, parang biglang nagka-Magna Carta, di ba? So, para anywhere in the world that you go, there is a minimum gold standard of the rights of migrants. No? And with 10.5 million Filipinos abroad, it's but natural that we be one of the leaders of this GCM. Not everyone joined. That's why if you got a chance to see my speech, I appeal. No? You cannot say love God and love your neighbor and then not want to discuss about migrants, because migrants are your natural neighbors, di ba? So here in the Philippines, how many Filipino Indians, Filipino Chinese, Filipino Koreans, how many expats do we have here? They're our neighbors, di ba? So how we treat them um, is very important. No? Just one last note. The GCM does not do away with the concept of sovereignty. In fact, it accepts that each country is sovereign and that border controls and immigration policies is very important to the security and well-being of each country. So we're not saying, make it a real global community and take out all borders and anyone can go anywhere. Hindi po yan ang GCM. No? The GCM is really providing a framework um, uh, if and when people migrate, diba, how they should be treated, what are their remedies, are they given access to the basics like medical, uh, pag-aaral. No? And I don't want to mention the places now, but Filipinos have experienced and are still experiencing some places, diba, where may mga problema. Nasosolve naman, pero may problema. For example, in countries where pag illegitimate yung child, hindi ma-register birth certificate. So, kung hindi ma-register, habang lumalaki, hindi na makapag-aral. No? Or if they don't have papers, they won't be allowed in schools in that place. No? So, this is happening all around the world. And happening to Filipinos and happening to all nationalities. That's why we want to do something about it. So let me stop there, and then if there are any other issues, we will answer them. But we have to start. When Secretary Bello arrives.
Very good.
Sir, balikan ko lang sir yung sa OFW. Sir, did I get it right? You're trying to everything OFW related synchronize with
Yes, interagency. So, one of the proposals is to have a department overseas employment. Whatever you call it, there are different names, different fields. Parang may point person on OFWs. But the reality is, with or without the department, each department may have its program regarding OFWs. So we want to make the programs and dealing with the issues of OFWs integrated. So kung may dumating dito, isang batch, 10 sila. Yung dalawa needs to go to the hospital o coordinated na yan with DOH or what private or public hospital dadalhin. Meron may kailangan ng help sa psychologist o sa kukunin. Ito naman, hindi sineldoan ng 2 taon. Di ba? May utang-utang. So, paano ang immediate relief? Saan pwedeng mangutang or saan pwedeng bigyan ng assistance? No? So, we want to answer all of those questions para hindi na kailangan tanungin ng bawat OFW every single time na lang. No? Like right now, for example, through the coordination of just two departments, DOLE and PFA, klaro na yung repatriation. Dati nagsusuhan parati sila at sinong bibili ng ticket. Ngayon, simple lang. Pag documented, o magbabayad. Pagka undocumented, DFA. And then either DFA o OWA na magkakamutin sa recruiter. if they are liable for the expense of repatriation.
So do you need a vote for this or legislation?
Right now, there's actually an order from the president and the cabinet, to create a working group, no, under the Human Development Cluster. But under study pa kung magkakaroon ng cluster na OFW cluster. No? So in the same manner, di ba, that meron tayong interagency that deals with drugs, para PNP, PDEA, um, NBI, di ba, citizens groups, di ba, can participate. No? So we're not taking out the lead from any agency or department here. Di ba? So pagdating sa recruitment policies, agency, POEA pa rin yan. Pagdating sa contract workers, di ba, at yung many issues regarding that, OWA pa rin yan. Pagdating sa training, test ka pa rin. So the question is, how do we integrate? One sign that it's not well integrated is that OFWs don't know. Diba? So like for example, yung sa aming negotiation sa Kuwait, and then now with Bahrain, and then I also had a bilateral meeting with the foreign minister of UAE. No? Mahal nila yung Pilipino. Mataas ang tingin nila sa Pilipino. Saudi, no? Mataas ang tingin ng Pilipino. But they admit sometimes pinapadala, hindi pa nakapagtrabaho for the first time. So whatever the job is, lalo kung skills, di ba? But even homemakers, no, even sa bahay, may training yan, di ba? And it's very important. So this meeting is not to pinpoint blame, but it's also to pinpoint responsibility and accountability, then try to help solve those problems.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
President Duterte mentioned last night that Ambassador Zhao Zhenhua was in the company of one Michael Yang, said to be a drug lord in Mindanao. Will you call on Ambassador Zhao to flesh this out?
Well, first of all, the Department of Foreign Affairs, as the prime agency charged with managing our relations with other states, takes great exception to the article by Rappler. With all due respect, you all know that you're all welcome here. You know, if it's an opinion piece, we have to respect the freedom of the press. You know? But if it's a factual reporting and they misrepresent, that gives the country, not me, not the president, that gives the country a problem. So I've reviewed the speech of the president on Facebook again and again. And I have to say that there was a malicious misrepresentation by Rappler in its article that said that the president linked the ambassador to a drug lord. If you review the speech, the footage, he was saying that there are people who are trying to destroy the reputation of a certain Mr. Michael Yang. So sinasabi ng iba na siya ay addict pa yung unang ginamit. Later on na lang yung pusher. No? And he was saying that he cannot be one. Because the ambassador even sleeps in his house. And the ambassador, sabi pa niya, gitari pa yan, sinabi niya, even when the premier was here. So he was using as a guarantee, diba, how the Chinese government vets people, how they have strict rules that their ambassador cannot associate. You know. So he was in fact defending, pero yung pagkasulat ng Rappler article was completely reversed. No? And I didn't use strong words even if I disagreed with Rappler in the past. Aside from their right to publish, sometimes kasi it was half-truth. Kasama ko kayo lahat na nag-discuss joint exploration. And very clear naman yung sinabi ko. Both sides, both China and the Philippines, And later on, if it's between the Philippines and Vietnam and the Philippines and Malaysia, or if it's three countries, all sides have to set aside, for the meantime, issues on territory and maritime entitlement. Diba? And what was the headline of Rappler? The headline of Rappler was, Cayetano said Philippines has to set aside its claims. So it's half truth. But hindi nila sinabi yung buo na both sides has to do it. So it gives people the wrong impression. But that's easy to correct at marami naman kayo nag-report. So when you compare it, but when you have a report like this, all the embassies around all the embassies in the Philippines are sending reports to their embassies all around the world. And it's a big accusation, especially coming from the president. Diba? If you say that an ambassador is involved with a drug lord, but please, dun sa public, babasa nito, may link naman. It's a 55-minute speech, yung speech niya sa PMA alumni. It's at around 22 minutes, no? So from around 22 to 26. If you listen to it and watch it, makikita mo klarong-klaro yung sinasabi ng ating Pangulo. If it wasn't clear, I won't speak on it muna.
Yeah.
And defer for the President to clarify. But after watching it 4 times, it's very, very clear, that it's a total miss. Media is very competitive. So pag yung angulo ng isa is much stronger than the others tend to also report on that angle. Diba? So, I'm not sure if the president will make a statement on it. I think the president should suppose not to it. But my job is to make sure that our relations with all nations are good. And I do the same, whether it's the Chinese ambassador or any other ambassador that got into this. So I'm hoping ABS and Rappler can correct their report. Or if they want, they simply show what the president said. Kaya lang mahaba. It's about 4 minutes.
So what's the latest about the joint exploration negotiation?
Well, it's we're exchanging notes and ideas. What's good is we're both cautiously enthusiastic. It seems that both countries really want to explore, and if there is, and we're praying that there are large deposits of oil and gas in the area, mapakinabangan ito ng Pilipino. That it will not be just there, especially with the high prices of oil and the cost to our economy of all the dollars buying oil and gas. And especially because Malampaya supplies about 40% of the power needs of Luzon. And Malampaya will be running out by 2027 and 2028. Hopefully longer than that, but so why do I say cautious but enthusiastic? Enthusiastic because it seems that we all agree that it will benefit our region, benefit Philippines, benefit China. We all agree that there can be and there is a framework which will be constitutional under Philippine laws and acceptable under Chinese law. Cautious because it's a delicate matter. It will have to pass the scrutiny of both Congress and the judiciary. So we are asking ourselves the hard questions now. So if this happens, what that? If this, what this? But I have a latest very rough draft with me today, just outlining some of the basic principles. So I will be consulting a lawyer on oil and gas, and I'll be consulting, of course, the Malacanang lawyers, especially the Executive Secretary, maybe Secretary Panelo on the constitutional side. And then I will ask my counterpart, State Councilor Wang Yi, about their side. So we're taking advantage that he will be visiting hopefully this October. Supposedly last month, tinamaan talaga ng pagdating ng Bagyong Hongkong. So if he can arrive, so we're trying to rush, the framework so that if it's acceptable to both sides, then even an agreement on principle between the DFA and the MOFA of China, then will be a giant step forward.
So, will you be in a position now to announce the visit of President Xi Jinping to Manila?
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and I don't want to say we'll finish it in a week or 1 month or 2 months, because it's one of those things that either you get done or not. It's either an absolute yes, kasi if it's a maybe or yes but, then hindi pa rin natin malalabas. But I'm working hard and very bullish that we do it in the next few months, so that the exploration can actually start next year. Because every delay that we have every few months, actually, a 3-month delay in coming with an agreement is not equivalent to a 3-month delay in exploration, because there are conditions at sea that has to be taken into account. So a 3-month, for example, delay could be a 6-month or 9-month delay. And the president's orders to us is that in anything that we do, no corruption, benefit the people, but make sure we enjoy the fruits during my term, because he wants people to enjoy it.
So November visit will push through.
So far, all the arrangements are being made for the state visit.
So are you already are you already in coordination with the Filipino companies that have service contracts here?
Yes, I have no choice but to see what are the service contracts that have been awarded, what are these areas. And we're looking at 2 or 3 service contracts. Service contract would have several wells. One particular one that we're looking at has a big well, sa Pagita well, and then a couple of smaller ones. So this is not a secret naman sa inyo. It's done sa business papers and international publications. So I have to have preliminary discussion, especially with their lawyers, because the framework also has to be acceptable with them, because part of the framework will really be a commercial agreement between our commercial entity and China's commercial entity. Diba? Kasi the exploration naman won't be done by both governments. The framework will be done by both governments, but the actual exploration and possible development in the future is that's why I use na ala or something like, or at the very least like Malampaya. But as I said, that's very technical. When you say ala Malampaya, the only difference will be the framework. Malampaya has a different framework, because precisely that there's no dispute to talk about. In this case, there's a dispute, so there has to be an agreement. And no matter how much we say that we will win, we won, there's no dispute. Even our allies agree there is a dispute.
Can you share something with the latest area of that in terms of numbers of division of it's still 60-40, but you said it has to be better than Malampaya. And of course, sir, just to clarify, we're talking about exploration and not development.
Yes. Your second question actually answered it. So since we're talking about exploration, there's no talk yet of the division, or who gets what. In the important part in the exploration is, one, it's done together. 2, that information is completely shared by both sides. So, but the 60-40 is still on the table. It's still our minimum. The Chinese are still reviewing it, but they have not closed the door on it. So they said they're open to it, but it really depends on our commercial entities, no, yung mga pag-usapan nila. So, one of the key here, I think, will be the amount of oil and gas that is there. Ano mo naman, di ba, businessmen, if it's a smaller pie, you want more pieces. If it's a bigger pie, di ba? So what if you get less pieces? Eh, mas malaki naman yung piece ng mas malaki pie, di ba? So the economics will kick in, depending on the results of joint exploration. But let me just tell you, whether you're for or against, I sincerely believe it is something great that can be done for the country. Because whatever we say, we're still an oil importing country. So if we become self-sufficient in oil and gas, and more if we become an oil exporter, it will completely change the country, economics, our finances, our the availability of oil and gas, the cost of power, the amount of taxes that we have here. Marami sa problema sa inflation ngayon. Kung nagawa itong, if running itong wells na ito ngayon. I remember when it hit $100 per barrel several years ago, suddenly, there was a move to explore in areas that before it didn't explore. And even if yung quality of crude oil was much less, but with that price, my impetus to drill and to get the oil, no? So now, whether masustain yung $80 per barrel o bumaba pa hanggang bumalik sa 70, 60, the initial studies are very promising, at least in the Sampaguita well. And this is, that's a stock exchange naman. But I'm sure if we allow the joint exploration, there will be clearer and new data, given the new technology from the last study reported to the Philippine Stock Exchange.
You're one of the people in the leadership of the president. And last night he gave an update about his and he said he's making to step down in case there is something serious. Hopefully, hindi naman one stability. I wonder if does the government have a backup plan on the worst case scenario that might happen in case turns out to be or have you received news from our foreign partners?
First, I've known the president for some time. I really sincerely believe he's strong as gold. Despite being strong as gold, I pray for him almost every day that he be healthy. Prime Minister Mahathir is 93, so relatively he's very young at 73, and all of us here are still in our adolescence. Relatively, di ba, So, having said that, health is a serious matter, and since I've been close to the president, he has regular check-up. Hindi siya takot sa doktor o tumakbo sa doktor, but he's also not secretive. Pagka merong sakit, whether konti or serious, he will say. So, when he said last night, kung cancer, the cancer, my interpretation of that, I don't know if I'm correct, but my interpretation is that if it's something serious, I'll tell you. And why waste time, when you only have limited time, you do what's most important to you, diba? So it's not to cling on to power. But my interpretation is he's still as healthy as a bull. Now, as to backup plans, we have the Philippine Constitution. So despite all of these, arguments, who is more qualified, who is less qualified, etc., sinong strong, sinong weak, sinong ganyan. We have Philippine Constitution. And no one is saying we should violate it. The President is just giving his opinion na kung siya ang tatanungin, si XYZ ang gusto niya. And he sent different people at different events. Diba? It's just that there's some people na mas gusto niyong i-report kaso sa iba. Diba? But I've heard him talk about other well-known personalities in the country, male or female, na binanggit niya.
So the Constitution will reveal whatever the president is.
Yes. Can you ask him then if he wants the
Yeah, please. That would be very nice.
or let's give him the choice.
A Chinese and US scholarship had a close encounter last September 13 near Spratlys,
Well, this proves our point that to solve the problems in the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea, there should be, can I use a more common term, a heart-to-heart talk between regional and non-regional players and between the two superpowers. Ito yung parati sinasabi ni Presidente, when the President always says, and friends to everyone, not an enemy of Japan, not an enemy of China, not an enemy of Russia, we're not the enemy of US. But there are rivalries. And China has a different stand regarding the South China Sea. The US has a different stand, the Philippines has a different stand. But the dynamics of superpowers are different from the dynamic of middle powers or of countries with soft power. No? So ASEAN is trying to tackle this issue as one. But it's also complicated because 60% of ASEAN does not have claims, overlapping claims. But 40%, Brunei, Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam have claims. No? So we will continue to see these irritants and to use a term na ginagamit yung parati sa Senado or sa Kongreso, bangayan. No? Mapapatuloy itong bangayan until no, the US and China sit down and then regional players, claimants and non-claimants sit down. That is precisely why we're rushing the COC.
What's your freedom of navigation in the status and the ordinance of Philippines?
Sorry.
Freedom of navigation.
Yes, but the US also does not recognize that we're claiming as our territory. It's just that they're our ally. But if they weren't our ally and they came within 12 nautical miles of our health features, we'll also tell them, you're entering Filipino territory. We have sovereignty here. And then also answer us, freedom of navigation. May conflict sa claims and stand ng iba't ibang bansa. The US signed UNCLOS, but their Congress did not ratify it. No? So iba ang yung freedom of navigation ng iba't ibang bansa are not all the same. For example, no, one question I've heard again in ASEAN, is freedom of navigation only for commercial vehicles or does it include military? And if it includes military, how close can you get to another country? And in a world where several countries have not only nuclear weapons but very powerful conventional weapons, you know, this matter should be clarified because we don't want any accidents. So mas concern natin is yung magkaroon ng aksidente between any of the great powers because any gulo, any disturbance in our region will affect us. Eh ngayon pa lang, ganoon na yung presyo dito. Can you imagine if hindi natuloy yung summit sa North Korea or if something happens in the South China Sea. No? And things are always happening. Fishermen, for example, no? If not for good relationship with Vietnam, they have had issues with our fishermen, we have had issues with their fishermen. The issues are ongoing. No? Except that we found a way bilaterally to talk with them. So hindi natin binabaliwala. No? But we're also not debating it in public because we believe that there are certain key players that have to sit down and talk and discuss para ma-solve nila yan.
Yes,
So
Secretary.
whenever either the US or China flies bombers over the area, the other one will respond.
Mhm.
So mangyayari. So kung every time mangyari, tayo mati-distract, we can focus on what we have to do for the country. But we'll always protect our interests.
Yeah. Secretary, what has been your instructions to our embassies abroad? Because there may be queries about the so-called Red October. How will it impact on the business climate in the Philippines as well?
Well, it, you know, it's a balancing act. On one hand, there's freedom of expression. Then where do you draw the line between activists and rebels? No? It's the same thing that happened in Marawi, di ba? Kung hindi nangyari in Marawi, how do you draw the line between extremists and freedom fighters? From those who are just legitimately fighting for not so legitimately because they brought up arms,
Yes.
but meaning they don't have the ISIS um, ideology. No? But when Marawi happened, they had to separate. Mamili ka. If you're a extremist or you believe in the ISIS, you join. If not, you have the government. So when you have a controversial administration, even with 75-80% support, you have a coalition of oppositionists which will be varied from the very conservative, yung lang post sa Facebook or susulat lang or will tell their students mali yung ginagawa ng administration, to the completely opposite side, who are the revolutionaries. No? Uh, so I think our ambassadors are quite aware, and the ambassadors here report din naman. So if EDSA 1, EDSA 2, yung hindi natuloy na EDSA 3, yung attempt to remove GMA did not happen, we can all say there's no such thing as a Red October. But we all know that the reality is that there are politicians, members of several parties, who do link up with revolutionaries or who try to entice soldiers because you need a couple of components to successfully remove an administration. You need a military component, you have a communications component, you need a business component, then you have to have mass movements component. And the left, varied din ang left, di ba? May illegal, meaning yung CPP and DA. May legal fronts, meaning they're actually with the NPA, but they're legal fronts. And then there are the activists. They're completely parliamentary struggle na yan. Wala nang links dyan. Minsan napagkakamalan silang doon. But ganun din naman sa inyo sa media, di ba? When you're critical, napagkakamalan minsan na pinapatumba niyo yung gobyerno. Di ba? But it's also hypocritical to say that if there are 1,000 million members, walang isa man lang na quietly member ng CPP because really believes in the ideology of knock them siya, di ba? So that's the reality.
Sir, si Justice Kirby the other day said that can you just go back to the navigation? Since we cannot enforce the ruling, Justice Kirby said, we should welcome the naval powers to conduct naval exercises. He said that it's our moral obligation to support them. So, refer kasi it's in a way parang affirming daw our victory sa arbitration ruling. So, what's your comment on that?
It's a thin line because when we are for freedom of navigation, we've never swayed from that. Even in the last ASEAN statement, leaders and foreign ministers, freedom of navigation, freedom of overflight, freedom to lay down underground cables, especially for the internet, etc. Lahat yan, we're for it. No? What we're saying and what the good justice siguro also understands naman is that there are exercises that further complicate the situation in the South China Sea. baliktarin mo, mag-freedom of navigation ang China, then they go within 12 nautical miles of our health features that without telling us. Wouldn't we also react? Diba? So you can't solve a problem by complicating a problem. He's not wrong in saying that we should support freedom of navigation, which we do. You know? But yung certain exercises, and we don't join them, but we're not stopping anyone from doing the freedom of navigation.
As ambassador, Chinese ambassador Shoshan reached your office to clarify kung what you say now is a false news, but tumawag pa siya sa inyo
Not yet.
to clarify.
Not to me.
Wala pa.
Not yet.
Wala pa ganun.
Kayo yung una kong kausap. Because I was briefed on the issue. Elmer at the OPD is in transit, and then Secretary was with me early this morning. So we'll update you. Let's start the meeting.
Sir, yung group
Why don't you guys take a few minutes break to stay here? Pagdating ni Secretary, I'll ask him if he wants to do kung hindi,
Kuala Lumpur. We have ASEC Esther